Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic. This week, Premium Patron Garrity came to me with an important question. He submitted me his mono-white Nahiri the Lithomancer deck that he calls mono-white board wipes, and he asks, I made this deck when Nahiri was first released, and while I've only added cards once in a while, it's in dire need of an update. I built this deck to slow down combo and creature-oriented tables, running as many board wipes as possible so there are no creatures left, since threats are always creatures. Ramp and card draw are my biggest issues because the deck is mono-white. There's no budget for the deck, I don't mind changing the commander, and I don't think the deck needs any specific kind of finisher in it. This is a lot to digest and raises as many questions as it may answer for me while looking at the deck. First, let's take a look at Nahiri. One of the original Planeswalker as commanders, Nahiri is built pretty well to get you back into the swing of things after a board wipe. Her +2 makes a 1/1 core soldier and attaches an equipment to it. Her -2 is the activated ability from a Stoneforge Mystic, putting an equipment from your hand into play. And her ultimate, at -10, creates an equipment called Stoneforge Blade that equips for 0, giving +5/+5 and double strike. Now, after talking with Garrity about the deck and some of the key challenges he's been facing, we uncovered a few really core issues. This deck was born from Garrity's playgroup always playing creature-oriented decks, and from others telling him to just run more removal. He took that to the extreme, however. The deck has an incredible 12 board wipes from Akroma's Vengeance to Fell the Mighty to classic Wrath of God. The deck is built to make sure you're casting a Wrath effect almost every other turn, but that leads to a few issues. One, your win conditions are creatures as well. Sure, Nahiri can pump out a core and suit it up, but your stuff is going to die too. When the deck also includes 13 of the biggest, beefiest, bulkiest angels the game has to offer, well, you're going to get into situations where no one is going to be able to do anything. Garrity mentions that he typically runs out of cards eventually, with no real source of card advantage in the deck. And while I'd love to recommend a Majetta the Diplomat or Esper Sentinel to add some much needed card draw, the reality is he'd just be throwing them away under Wrath effects as well. We could be including card draw on equipment like Mask of Memory, Sword of Fire and Ice, or Rogue's Gloves though. That means you can turn any creature, even a lowly 1/1 core token, into a card draw engine. Ramp is more of an issue, but this has really been addressed in recent years. Archaeomancer's Map, Land Tax, and Smothering Tithe are some of the best ways White has to stay on pace with other colors. By including mana rocks as well, which the original list is lacking, we'll be able to actually get ahead of the curve eventually. There's a reason why these cards are expensive. They're good, and White is lacking these options in this department. For creatures, leaning into creatures that protect themselves is the most important step. Include more indestructible threats and you'll be able to survive through your own board wipes. Dauntless Bodyguard can give one of your other big creatures indestructible to persist through a Wrath. So could gods like Oketra the True, with the added benefit of also being able to pump out more creatures afterwards. Selfless Savior and Selfless Spirit can both grant other creatures indestructible, so your threats survive long enough to be the only threat left on the board. However, I feel there's something that needs to be addressed here, not from a deck standpoint, but from a playgroup standpoint. Garrity brought up with his group that he noticed everyone was running combo or creature-oriented decks and was met with, do something about it. The classic run more removal response we see from players that like to shift responsibility for the health of a playgroup from themselves to that of others. I am of the opinion that making a playgroup more toxic, be that preventing players from playing the game, creating unengaging decks, or not taking responsibility for your own actions, is how we foster behavior that chases people away from the game. Garrity's deck creates situations where, as he was told to do, he stops people from playing. Destroy all of the creatures so creature-heavy decks or creature-specific decks can't do the thing. Well, how long is that going to last? We're entering what's called the Commander Arms Race. This is where a playgroup enters a rock, paper, scissors style war, where decks are designed to beat other decks. So people design decks to beat those decks, and soon one player is showing up to the table with a deck so fast and tuned, it's winning before anyone else gets a chance to do anything. This comes from personal experience. My earliest days of the format came from building decks in a small playgroup that were just centered around beating the other decks in the playgroup until one day we were playing EDH. And normally that's fine if that's what everyone wants, but in this case it wasn't. We weren't talking to each other about what we wanted from our play experience and just assumed that this is what everyone wanted to do. It came to a point where some players just stopped playing Commander because they weren't enjoying it anymore. We went from playing big dumb dragons to 2-card instant win combos in the span of a year or two. And I can see that happening here with Garrity's playgroup. One player brings a creature-heavy deck to the game and trounces everyone, so another player builds a similar deck. So another player builds a deck to beat those two. Now the fourth player builds a deck to build the one that beats the other two, and we get into a vicious cycle. There's a way to avoid this though. Talk to your playgroup. Or build a deck that beats them without stopping them. There's a big difference there too. Not necessarily faster, but that's trying to do something while they're trying to do something. I am a big proponent of letting people try to do the thing rather than ensuring they can't do the thing. I love watching someone's deck pop off even if I don't win. If that's not what you want, if it matters more to you that you have a good time, even if everyone else is miserable, more power to you. Just don't be surprised if someone is bringing a deck to the table to try and stop you, or if you just don't have anyone left to play with anymore. Commander is a format where you need to talk to your playgroup. I recommend you do that before you lose them. My tune-up for Garrity's deck is in the description below. Be sure to take a look and let me know what you think. I've trimmed some of the board wipes, added in some lower to the ground pieces, and ensured that even when wiping the board, you can have some threats survive. A big thanks to Garrity for supporting the channel, and as always folks, good luck and have fun.